How about this one? Parenting without the romance. What if you have a child with someone who is a good friend? It is a new twist on the modern family as more and more friends raise kids together. You have to see this. This is a report from Poppy Harlow.
Why don't we just do it?
What?
Friends with kids. It's not just the stuff of Hollywood movies.
We really want to have a kid, so share all the responsibility and just skip over the whole marriage thing.
Look what I have. Your new cup.
Call it the modern family.
You say you broke all the rules.
We did.
Dave and Evelyn were co-workers before they were co-parents.
You were her superior.
I was, but we weren't messing around. So we weren't breaking every rule.
Heidi and David, friends for 20 years, joked in college if neither had a child by 36, they'd have one together.
I wanted a partner in parenting. So I circled back to David and I said, I'm ready. All systems are go on my side, and I would like to do this with you.
They're parenting partners, not romantically involved, not married, but sharing the huge task of parenting.
Do you ever feel judged?
Absolutely.
We've heard a lot of comments, positive and negative, with respect to what we've done here.
Heidi and David do it living apart.
Do you ever worry that this may confuse Nate when he's trying to figure out for himself what a loving relationship is?
Attaboy. Good. David and I have a loving relationship. We don't have a romantic relationship, but we do have a loving relationship.
And just because he wasn't conceived as a result of a romantic interlude does not mean that we're going to be less than as parents. It doesn't mean that we love him any less.
Lunch bag, all done.
Evelyn and Dave do it living together.
I do think it is a little easier for a single woman to become a mother and not be looked down on.
And I found it different. I found it actually that people have a lot of questions, and there's been more resistance than I expected.
Darren Spadale has tapped into the trend by starting Family by Design, a website to match up co-parent hopefuls.
Where I've seen this work the most successfully is where the people have taken the time to build that bond of friendship. Where I have seen challenges is where people jumped into this too quickly and didn't build that bond.
Critics say parenting partnerships can confuse the child and feel like divorce.
To address the naysayers who might say you're doing something that's unnatural, and I take issue with that word, I would like to say more something less than conventional. Yes, this is a new paradigm in parenting.
We don't have statistics to say how it will work. I think for me the hardest thing would be when one or the other loses interest in the arrangement and wants something different.
Like dating other people, something all four parents want one day. Whatever the agreement, get it in writing.
It's a disaster plan, but we don't plan to use it.
To protect yourself, because you don't know what the future is going to hold.
You absolutely don't, and all the lawyers I talked about this said, Brooke, get it in writing, get a legal agreement. But this is very controversial, and we're seeing more and more websites pop up matching people to be co-parents. So we reached out to the Center for Marriage and Families at the Institute of American Values, and I want to read you part of the statement that they sent us because they vehemently oppose this. They wrote to us, parents who have been unwilling even to try to love or bond with one another are unlikely to be able to cooperate together throughout a child's lifetime. Other ties will draw them away from the co-parenting relationship, whether for romance or work. Grown-ups are supposed to take on the job of making one family for a child. It is a hard job, but these parents are not even willing to try. So as you know, Brooke, in things like this, there are people on very different sides that think this is absolutely a good idea and others that think it is absolutely not.
I got to tell you, when I first watched your piece today, Poppy, I was almost speechless, and we're going to talk to a clinical psychologist here in just a moment because I have a gazillion questions about this.
Right.
But you're seeing this with both gay and straight men and women, right?
Absolutely. And the guy in our piece, Darren Spadale, that started Family by Design, the website, told me he's actually seeing a vast majority of straight men and women that are doing this. And that even surprised him. This is interesting if you look at these numbers, Brooke. I think it tells us a lot. Let's pull them up for our viewers. This is a Pew study from 2010, and what it found is that 52% of millennials said being a good parent is one of the most important things in their life versus just 30% saying that about a successful marriage. So those numbers tell us a lot about the shifting trend and the shifting importance of things to young folks these days, Brooke.
Poppy Harlow, thank you for bringing us the piece. How exactly does this work? Here she is, clinical psychologist Barbara Greenberg. Barbara, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, my first thought was, I don't have a poker face, so I was like, what? You know? But then I guess I started thinking, isn't it all about loving the kid no matter how you co-parent? What's your take on this?
From my experience in working with kids and working with teens for over 20 years, the most important thing is the quality of the relationship between the adults who are raising the kids. That is much more important than the relationship between the two adults raising the kids, as long as it's a harmonious relationship. Whether or not it's a romantic relationship, I believe, is unimportant.
You know, one thing I was interested in is that one of the women in Poppy's piece said, you know, listen, the sex doesn't get in the way because there is no romantic involvement whatsoever, so that's not an issue. I'm wondering, you know, could that factor into a child not seeing that kind of affection among parents? Does that even matter?
I don't think that matters. When the children are old enough and you start to talk to them about all things romantic and sexual, you can define the relationship that you are having with your co-parenting partner.
What about, and this is something somebody just tweeted me, what happens, Romaine, I'm reading your tweet because this is my same question. What happens when they start dating other people? There are husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends coming into this co-parenting mix.
Yes, as we all know, families come in all shapes and sizes these days. And I think children can handle a lot. They're very resilient. And as long as things are defined for them, boundaries are clear, they know who is setting the rules and who to go to for various things, I think these things can be explained to kids. Clarity is the most important thing here.
Friends with Kids. It was a movie. It is reality. Barbara Greenberg, thank you so much for your perspective. I appreciate it.
Very welcome.